probably don't have an intro or something for this. It's just us starting to talk, I guess.
Hello to everyone listening. We are some of the team behind Ribblr. We do meet quite a bit behind the scenes as we talk about all things going on. We do kind of show our faces, especially during the Ribblr show broadcast. And we figured since the community is so active and participating, we always have new chatters. And since we do meet so frequently, we may as well combine both worlds and talk a little bit about Ribblr on the outside and kind of our takes and views on things. And it kind of gives that human element of kind of what, the people who are working on the platform believe in our opinions, as sometimes those can be quite hidden and hard to find. And we do want to be as transparent as possible and flexible with what we think and kind of how we approach things. So so here we are using some of our time to do so, to talk out loud. So my name is Vincent. I'm a crochet/amigurumi artist, and I've been crocheting for 9 years, coming up hot on a decade. So exciting way to spend my 20s. And this is my co-host, which is one of the founders of Ribblr. If you want to introduce yourself.
Yep. I'm Lear Shilton, and with my partner Sar, we've built Ribblr with our third co-founder Avi as well, and it's been a journey. I'm the crafter in the team who kind of had her struggles as a crochet designer, and sort of presented a situation and this is really clunky. How I'm designing patterns as a crochet designer, how I'm selling my patterns, how I'm creating PDFs. And then they were like, wait a minute, isn't there a techie solutions? They both come from the tech world. And I'm like, I don't think so. No, there is no techie solution for this. It's just how people are doing it. And then we started to wireframe and brainstorm and came up with Ribblr. And this is where we are now.
Yes, and by solution you mean just kind of what we've always known for pattern designers and people to pick up, patterns and stuff the classic way, I guess we would say, usually physical media or PDFs. And Ribblr's done an awesome job in kind of turning that into a new product. If you want to give just a quick TLDR and kind of what Ribblr offers that's so different compared to other places.
Yeah, I guess for me now, 5 years into Ribblr, I kind of forgot how it was before. I have to kind of remind myself how I used to do it, which was before was kind of on the designer side for me. I would think of an idea and then I'll write on with a piece of paper or a notebook my designing process, the rows, the rounds, whatever it is that I was doing. And it would take quite a few pages depending on the project. And then I would transfer it all into Word. And then I will have to kind of as I'm taking pictures on the, I'll have to bring that up and add that in there somehow to make it fit. Then I'll have to convert that into PDF. Then I'll have to make sure that PDF is compressed, it's enough of a file size to upload to Etsy or to Ravelry or to my own website or to all the different platforms. And it was all such a long process just for getting your pattern up and get it into crafters. It was really clunky to design patterns. And actually Ribblr, when we came up with the idea, we started with the pattern editor that we have. We call it Rebuild, where designers can go on and add all of their details even as they're designing. So sort of use it as a mobile notebook or on the computer if they're working with a computer. And then they don't have to kind of transfer anything or rewrite everything. They just have it to document their journey, and then it's ready to be published. So it's kind of a one-step process. and then they can send it to testing directly from like after creating the pattern, and they can do all sorts of things. And then on the consumer side, we wanted the patterns to be easier to follow and have kind of like interactive features. So we have automatic size highlighting. So if you're creating garments and you have multiple sizes in a PDF printed one, it's all kind of like you'll see all the sizes. You might have 10 sizes and they're all there, just like kind of on the page. And some people like maybe are a bit more neurodivergent, and they kind of like, they don't see numbers, like they would confuse them or they would not be able to count them. So they have to go and highlight each one. We do that automatically. So we decided to like give people the option to choose to see just one size. So kind of like declutter the mess. And the fan favorite, the tracking your progress, when you can just track off each line when you completed it, which sounds simple, but doesn't exist on a PDF. Yeah, and lots more. Yeah,
a lot of horror stories for a lot of people who are following patterns, who are like halfway through a project and they just forget where they're at. A very easy thing to do, and it's a shame people.
And then you have to count.
Oh yeah, having to count your work. I will say, since I have been manually crocheting for so long, like not following patterns, but like my own patterns, like it is a nice skill to be able to like read your work almost backwards as well. But that is like one thing you're giving up. But I think it is a fair trade for like all the ease for like designers to have it all in one place, especially for like the testing and stuff. That's always kind of a logistical nightmare. There's a lot of people who like also will, you know, get your pattern and then just kind of run off with it. You'll never hear from them again. So it's cool that users have a lot more control. And these are things that maybe people don't know about the rebuild patterns, but you know, you have a lot more control being able to like take that away from accounts and stuff. And you know, you can release portions of your patterns as well in certain increments, which is really nice. And yeah, you can always like, people could screenshot and do all these other things, but it does add a few extra steps that might be enough to at least lessen the amount of theft as well. And theft is something that, you know, kind of comes within the reign of PDFs. I myself included, I have plenty of PDFs that have been redistributed as well, completely without my consent, all over Pinterest and stuff. And so that was that always part of Ribblr's philosophy when creating like the in-house pattern maker? Was that kind of just like that was an extra perk that came along with being able to have it on platform and stuff?
I think a little bit of both. I think it automatically comes from the fact that you can't download a physical, like you have to consume the interactive features within the Ribblr software. So it has to be accessed by like in the app or on like the web or via Ribblr. So just by nature of that, it already protects your pattern because it can't be downloaded and then redistributed, because obviously it's not like just like a file that is not, it's interactive. So it has lots of tools, and we can't provide for these features when you download like a PDF. But we did have the designer well-being in mind, I would say that. So we started with kind of like the basic e-pattern and rebuild, and built Ribblr out of that. So we built Ribblr around the software for creating and consuming patterns. We wanted a place where designers can sell, communicate, and crafters can get inspired, make their crafting journey kind of like an all-in-one place where they don't have to bounce back and forth between different websites and different places, and they kind of can stay on Ribblr and find everything that they need. And that's still our mission, and we know that we're still kind of like missing a few things that we are working on. But we are a very small team, so every time we're adding something, and it's quite often, I think, it's kind of like we have to focus on one thing at a time and get that out, and then work on the next thing, and then the next thing. But yeah, I mean, designer protection is very important to us as we are designers.
Yeah, and for like the behind the scenes stuff, when I had joined the team, there was like this push to kind of like have something like new announcement every month, like in terms of like a feature and stuff, which was a really fun, cool rollout to be a part of. Although we don't do that as frequently now, we do kind of like save it for like bigger releases and put more time and quality into it, especially after the glow up. But it's really awesome to see how many things that the like tech side of Ribblr is adding to it all. But you do mention that you want it to be an all in one place, and Ribblr has done a good job at adding that kind of like social aspect. We have the community section, which is quite thriving. Very like if you ever need a community and you don't know where to fit in, that's actually a really good place to at least start and meet people there. And then there's the social aspect of, you can make journals. So a lot of the time when you're following, like if you're a designer and people are following your patterns, the only way people are going to know about those patterns are either through reviews, so, like depending on the site you're on, or you have to manually share them on your socials. But Ribblr does offer the journal section where if you can like leave photos or your own comments, whether you're done with the project or not, and it shows up on the listing, which is another really great social aspect. But would you say that Ribblr has kind of like put its feet in like the social media realm, or do you feel like it still is kind of its own ecosystem? Or where do you think Ribblr stands nowadays, like after 5 years of development? Where do you think it stands in like the social sphere?
Well, I'm not 100% sure that it's like what nowadays you would call social media, but to kind of date myself, I remember when Facebook started and it was different. It felt different. It felt in general, when social media started, it felt more of like a community and a thing to bring people together. I think that feeling back then with like early social media is what we have now with the Ribblr community, which I like personally. But yeah, it's not exactly what you would call social media today with influencers and,
right,
selling you stuff and capturing your attention span, and it's not that social media.
I do think after hearing you explain that, I think it might actually, my counterpoint is maybe it is actually more social media than the current ones in the landscape. I would hardly even say that like the current platforms are social media. Like you go on and really it's a bunch of ads, a lot of, you might not even be actually interacting with like other humans on there either.
With AI.
Yeah, with AI. And also just like these you're just like interacting with like companies and brands who are willing to pay to be there. So I feel like the social media aspect has really kind of, like we use that word kind of synonymously, but I do feel like on Ribblr there is quite a social aspect, and I think that's actually pretty cool. And I think that's why people are leaning into it, and especially nowadays where people are looking for like communities that they can kind of rely on rather than being force-fed content from an algorithm. You don't really know what you're going to get, and sometimes it can be super aggressive. You like sit on like one skateboarding video and that's all you're going to get for the rest of the day. I don't ever feel that like bombarded on Ribblr, which is really nice.
Yeah, and I think social media back in the days was more of a community because you had your friends and you followed them or your family, and then you would see what they were posting, and then you would like write a status about like, I don't know, whatever you felt that day, and then your friends will kind of like react to it. And it's not like, it was more about the community around you that was exposed to it. And I think that is what we have on the community. And what I've seen is especially when you do the Ribblr show, I see lots of people in the chat kind of like, oh, I just invited my bestie, like I taught her to crochet, or because when people go into crocheting, like if they're very kind of like dedicated to the craft, or knitting, depending on what it is, but I think crochet is just easier to pick up as like the first craft, then you get really excited and when you want to share it with your friends, you kind of like, oh, you have to try it. It's like really easy. And then you come on Ribblr, and then we'll be like on the community together and in the chat. And I think that like early social media, people are kind of like inviting their friend group to join, which means actually either that they already know crochet or knitting and they just join, or they do other crafts and then they teach them to crochet, or they kind of like pick it up just to join the community. I think it's that good for people to kind of like as a clean community.
Yeah, I think there is an importance to it. Like I know, as like, those who work us with Ribblr, like, we are, working with a lot of like content creators and influencers who are already like established in things. And we do try to like step away from that and like focus on those who are just getting into the craft. And I know that can be really overwhelming. And for me, when I first started, if I wasn't getting some of that, like, right when I was done with my first few projects, I went straight to social media to post it. And I do have to wonder for myself is how enthused or like how much farther would I have gone if I had just done it in like, just shared it like within my own four walls, which does not sound very like, oh, you're a true artist. I understand that. But for me, art has always come from more than just like my own hands. It's always been kind of part of like, who can I share this with? How can I like, how can I kind of like not so much grow a following, but how do I grow more like-minded individuals around me? Because like I don't really know a ton of people around me who craft. So like the internet's been really an awesome way to be able to share that passion and love for it. And it doesn't feel to me as riveting on social media because you don't just get to put out art for like the thrill of it. You do have to like think about the content. How is it going to click with people and how's it going to do this, that, and the other? So I think Ribblr does offer a really fresh space where I don't think people are really concerned with like anything other than the art itself. Like they're not really concerned, is this community post going to get a ton of like likes or comments? Is this pattern going to get a ton of journals or anything? I think people are really just posting that. And I do see some of the like feedback that some people might think, oh, it's not all like, if you go to some marketplaces, it's like, like the best of the best. But I do think there is like a lot of cool raw art on Ribblr that, although it might not be your taste, it is really cool to see kind of people like putting themselves out there, especially with the tools that Ribblr offers. So if you're looking for that kind of like raw, undefined experience, I do think Ribblr is kind of like the place to be, especially to help people and build them up as they keep building things. And it's quite a symbiotic thing. You have like your testing zone and then people release it, give feedback, and then you can kind of keep going back and forth and seeing these shops grow in real time. So it's really quite a unique experience.
Yeah, and as you said, I mean, everybody starts somewhere. Like those young artists that maybe their work is a bit more raw and the picture that they take are kind of like a bit more raw and it looks a bit more organic, then they get the experience, they see other patterns, other designers, and then they learn and then they improve, and then the quality of their work improves. But we give them the space to be able to do this. And the supporting community, we don't want that negative feeling relating to craft, because a lot of individuals will tell you, like, coming from experiences where like you get told that your art is not good or it's ugly or it's whatever it is, it can make or break a person. Like it can make them stop just doing it. So we don't want to hear anything like that because we want to keep it safe for everybody. So I think them growing up in a supporting community where they feel safe and free to experience and experiment with different things, with different crafts, with different creations, and to test for other people and to see what other people are doing and to learn from that and to get inspired, and all of this kind of, back and forth really builds up their confidence and their artistry and all of that. And I think that's really beautiful to kind of like see that journey for lots of people.
Yeah, and it's super refreshing that it is all going to be raw human content, because I know that, we've already kind of like touched upon a little bit on the AI stuff, and since we're already talking about moderation and the raw stuff people are putting, a lot of people are probably going to be wondering kind of where Ribblr stands with AI if you haven't seen our posts or any of those things. So I do think it is kind of worthwhile just to like touch on that, let people know where we stand with the AI stuff. So so if you've seen Ribblr, I mean, it's definitely safe to like question a lot of like these, a lot of brands, companies, especially digital ones. It seems to be very trendy to just jump right into it gung-ho. You might see our mascot Ribbit as well and might think, how can this beautiful being not be AI? But we are happy to report that completely handmade, or I guess handmade, but like digitally. We actually had the
digitally made.
Yeah, we had the idea for him actually quite some time before he even came to fruition, and we've just kind of been building off of that. We do use some of the like software to like manipulate, our voices and stuff for him, but all the, everything about him is coming from us. And then on the website, on Ribblr, we can guarantee you that you are not going to be seeing any AI content or any AI pattern builders. And if you do see it, it will be very temporary while the team is moderating and catching those things. But every time you buy a pattern, you can feel pretty secure in knowing that it is coming from another human. And that's all I can really speak on. So I'll let you kind of go into kind of Ribblr's philosophy on AI and like where we stand and why we stand there.
Yeah, I think you are spot on with what the approach is, and obviously, putting like Ribbit aside, he's adorable. He's not AI. I can say here, like, I'm working really hard on Ribbit. He's my little project. I really enjoy working on like creating content with him and like bringing it to life. But putting that aside, I do think that that AI is, as everything that we use, as like any progress that we had in technology, a tool to be used. But it's sort of like when back in the days there was no actual like paint, like you would have to make paint from raw materials to grind the ingredients and to I don't know what, you had to manipulate them in order to use them as paint, and it was a bit harder. And then like nowadays you just buy paint off the shop and it's easier for you as an artist. You still paint the picture yourself, you still are the artist. So we believe that AI is a tool to help you enhance your creativity and not to override it and create for you. And definitely not to replace creations or creators or artists. The point of the creating is the journey, is like trying to kind of like come up with a pattern, like thinking of how I would want to do it and choosing the colors and looking at inspo and all these kind of things. And even for crafters, I mean, they still need to go through those things. But at the end of the day, they put time and effort in their making like process. So they want to know that, they want to feel like it's real, and it's like to trust the pattern that they're making. It can be that a pattern might not be good made by a human, a creator, a designer, but then obviously it will get, like, I would assume, reviews that mention this was quite difficult, I couldn't understand it, and then the designer can either kind of like take it off and improve it, or just say like other people might find it, like maybe it will label it under intermediate or like experienced crafter, or I don't know, just like label it correctly. Again, because not all patterns are for all levels of creators. But at the end of the day, you want to know that you will have that support. Like an AI pattern was generated by a computer. Like you as a crafter, you have a problem on row 40. Who would you contact? AI? Like, who would you get help from with the creation, like the origin of the creation? There's no. It feels off completely. So no, we do not support it. And as you said, like we not only moderate and kind of like check the community, but we get obviously we have so many thousands of patterns on Ribblr, then we get users reporting the pattern. So if users or if anybody can come across a pattern that they are suspiciously, like looks suspiciously AI, or they think it's AI, just report it, and then our team will do the investigation, take it off, and check with the designer and look at all, like from all angles to determine if it's AI or not. But yeah, no AI.
Yeah, which is awesome. And we, this was not a conversation I was necessarily like a part of when it comes to like the theos of like, where we stand, and the team told me where they stand and everything. And I was so pleased to hear that, like they want to like, this was like already like set in motion. The slogan's always been, this platform is by crafters for crafters, and we definitely still want to maintain the integrity of that, and also just to respect everyone's time as well. Like it would suck to have to like, you go through like hours of following a pattern and maybe it doesn't get you to where it needs to be. Also, all the patterns that are being thrown in there are just accumulation of patterns that have existed before its time. And also, we would hate to like ever be in a situation where you finish a pattern, you're all done, you share it to the world, and then you're getting like criticized for following an AI pattern that you didn't really consent to doing. So we just want to maintain that integrity through and through. Now more than ever, it's important to, like we are at the end of the day a marketplace, and we still want to support small businesses and marketplaces. Every time you purchase a pattern, you are supporting an individual and their family, or however they spend those dollars. Every time you even click into a Ribblr shop owner's link to their shop, they are getting their sale fees reduced. So there's just a lot of ways that we do want to support people in this time, especially this time. So yeah, it's really awesome that the Ribblr team is maintaining that. And thank you to the community who do report things that they find suspicious. We are a small team, so there's only so many things that we can catch so quickly. So we really do appreciate everyone's support on that front as well.
Yeah, it's always weird for me because it's kind of like a delicate balance. And that's where I think some parts of the world get a bit kind of like maybe lost the plot a little bit, but now kind of like looking at like a smaller scale, I can see it because we're a small business, right? that have small business owners that want to support them, but also support the customer, because we're kind of like in the middle between, like we're the facilitator between the designers who have small businesses and their customers, and it all goes through us, which we are also a small business. So we have to make some money to help feed into Ribblr, because servers, paying for obviously when you said like we're you can reduce your selfie, your sale fee, which we call selfie. So we are the ones who kind of like take that on ourselves, because we want to support designers and have them sell more to get more money. But obviously we have to have something so we can support the small businesses. And then there's that fine kind of like balance of, so when I'm promoting this designer who's running a shop sale and pushing it on the homepage and like on a pop-up on Ribblr, am I annoying the customers, the Ribblr users, because they see like, oh, they're pushing a sale, they want me to buy, but them buying the patterns is supporting my other customer, which is the designer, that I want the designer to thrive and to sell more so they can create more and give more patterns to, their followers. So it's kind of like a circle of life kind of thing where it's so delicate, like the balance between, I don't want to annoy people, but I want to give them good deals and enough free stuff as well. And I want the designers to earn. and I still need to earn. So it's kind of like figuring this like circle of life thing where like with the lions become the grass and the antelope eat the grass, like kind of like a Lion King style.
I mean, that is how the economy is supposed to work. I think we're all kind of desensitized to like you pay into something and then like some, you know, corporate fat cat gets all the money. But, you know, we're supposed to, how it's supposed to work is you put money into someone's pocket and then they're able to put it into someone else's pocket, and it just keeps, you know, it just is like in a whole system. And that is kind of, you know, what we're trying to do. Like that's the kind of marketplace attitude that we want. And we see that with creators. Like the more money you put into their pockets, they're able to upgrade, you know, their systems and how they go about putting awesome things on the, you know, whatever platforms they have. And it just makes the, you know, customer experience even better. And even if your money isn't paying for their full rent or anything, putting an extra like $10 into someone's pocket a month for them to even grab like a sweet treat really makes all the difference. And you can see the difference as they talk about it in our community section. You know, you're supporting college students as well. And I mean, back when I was in college, like an extra like $10 for the weekend honestly can be like the, you know, a little bit of a nice treat that your hard work got you something. And it doesn't have to be a full-time
income. Economy is not getting better. So
no, it's
every little bit helps. That's what it is. But some people on Ribblr even they can really sell quite nicely. We have a lot of very successful sellers that we're like, wow, look at you, good for you. Like you did it. And I'm really proud of like the very successful sales. It's hard work.
It is
for me. Before starting Ribblr as a designer, I really loved the designing process, and basically that's why like partially why Ribblr came about is that I hated the work that comes with creating the non-pattern part of being a designer, the doing all the tech stuff and uploading and then promoting everywhere. And I'm not a huge kind of like social media person. I don't even post personal stuff. I don't use it. So for me it was really hard to kind of like think I had to think about it as work, and then in my mindset it was not fun because it was work. So it was hard for me to kind of like do that. So I really appreciate those designers who manage to make a name for themselves and to go viral and to work really hard on selling, because selling is hard. I come from music background, as you can see behind me, and for me it was a thing in the music industry as well, because it's 20% the art and 80% marketing. Like you can't really do it solely based on your art. So you can be the next, I don't know, Jimi Hendrix, and nobody will care unless you put 80% of the time on marketing. So I really appreciate when people do manage to do that for themselves, because it's not a given. Not everybody can do it. So yeah, good for them. I love seeing that on Ribblr, how like you can see lots of very successful shops.
Yeah, you can. And we have like some really sweet tools that we've been charitable with. Like if you're visiting Ribblr kind of like on a weekly basis, you may see like, especially on Fridays, we have our Freebie Friday promotion. And on some of the Tuesdays in the month, you might see like a shop sale promotion. And we're sometimes able to put some of these like smaller shops like just in the forefront for 24 hours, which isn't really a big ask from us, as this is something that benefits literally everybody, helps, you know, bring people to the website, and it helps with sales, and we can lower sale fees from our end too. And some of these shops will go from like, I don't know, 20 followers. And by the end of this 24-hour window, especially with their Freebie Fridays, they'll come out with, you know, anywhere from like 6,000 to 10,000 new followers. And it's pretty low effort for everybody, and it just kind of shows it doesn't need to be like painstaking years and years to grow a giant mass following, which does help for sure. But it's really cool to see people so eager to support on Ribblr. Like there's just kind of that atmosphere. It's not like a come in, pick up what you need and head out. It's kind of like browse, you'll pick up what you need, but there's still more to kind of like chew on and digest. And that's really cool. And it honestly kind of reminds me a little bit of some local communities. Like Portland is one of those ones. I teach crochet classes and they usually do fill up quite a bit. And I get a lot of people online asking like, how do you like market it? How do you get people to come and buy? And, or, you know, how do you get people to pay X amount of money to sit there on a Saturday to learn crochet? And really, it's just kind of like the culture of Portland is people are willing to spend their time and dollars or time and money into like learning something new. And I think Ribblr kind of like reminds me of it in that way, is that people are like actively on there to download new patterns, to buy new patterns, or even just to like, I don't know, kind of spice up their day. It's not like a transactional thing. Like, I mean, it is transactional, but that's not like the main point. It's kind of like squished in there within the sandwich of like the Ribblr experience. So it's pretty cool. If you want to experience that for yourself, you know, we are a small team, so you can always contact us as well. And we are always open to helping you get more eyes on you. Because I mean, selfishly, that does help us for sure. But
I remember, like as a designer, the obviously the main platform that you want to sell on is Etsy, because there's like the most amount of people are heading. Like at least it was. Now I don't know, because I don't use it much, and in my mind it's no longer that handmade place and more like that Temu rebranded, repackaged, personalized experience. But you know, it's still widely accessible for so many people. So you sell on Etsy, and every year the fees, like even when I started and the fees were low, it was very high. And you sell a digital file. It's not even something that you have to ship, but you pay more as a digital seller, creator. You pay more fees than somebody who ships a product. So it was really annoying for me. So I remember that when they decided to up their fees, we said like on Ribblr, like, no, that's ridiculous. I mean, people sell patterns for like $68, 628, not 68. And they don't earn anything from that, like barely. Like they can sometimes earn like maybe half of it with all the fees. That adds up. And then if you also promote on Etsy, it can really add up. But we said like, no, we will build a scheme where if you share your link and you put it on socials and people click it, the more clicks you get, the more you can reduce your fee. And there's like percentages, and then you can remove your fee completely if you get lots of traffic. So we said like, we want, obviously in that circle of life, like symbiotic relationship, we want people to come to Ribblr and enjoy the features. We want designers to lead them to the Ribblr shop so they can get their patterns over there and enjoy the features and use Ribblr more. So let's encourage the designers by reducing their fee as much as like they bring people onto Ribblr. So yeah, give them an incentive to transfer their to make Ribblr their main hub, their main platform, and not Etsy, because they will earn more when they sell here. Like by nature, our fee is lower than like the lowest. Like it is the lowest fee. For
just by default,
selling.
Like you already make more just by default, like without doing anything.
Yeah. By nature, like with selling as you are just now. And then when you bring more traffic into Ribblr, you reduce that. So a win-win situation.
It is a win-win, and I think that should be like more of like the standard for platforms. Like I know affiliate links and everything work, but like you see, like if you're like a content creator or something, or bringing traffic somewhere, you have to like keep putting in the work to get rewarded. But it's cool with Ribblr, like automatically you get rewarded just for bringing people to the site just to check it out.
Yeah, it's not a conversion thing. We don't reduce the fee like when people make a purchase, and then kind of like, it's not a commission. It's just by people clicking the link and like having their audience go to Ribblr instead of other places for their patterns. And that's really is kind of like a free thing. Like you just click and you're there. It didn't cost them anything.
For sure. And I think, it is like I'm not like, to be transparent, I'm not exactly like part of the like anything money related, but I know it is kind of like a hard, tightrope to walk, right? Like we've mentioned many times now that we do kind of like take the brunt of like, not making as much from like sales and everything. And we do believe it should go into the pockets of said designer for sure. And, Ribblr's had to kind of find different ways of still maintaining its business. There's still a lot to cover, and do appreciate everyone who does come to Ribblr, as you are paying for my livelihood as well. So thank you. But, Ribblr team has had to find creative ways to kind of do that. So I think it might be worth being transparent to like say, kind of like the nuanced ways that Ribblr does kind of, make its money and how it does that. So we do have two ways. I'll let you go into like the depths of it, but just at the top of my head that I can think of is we do have ads on the site, which I would say are not intrusive really by any means. I hardly notice them. And then we also have Ribblr Plus, which is an awesome, new thing that you can dive into, and it doesn't take away from the free experience. So if we want to go into detail on kind of what that looks like and how you even got to that point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously at the beginning we just wanted that was our kind of like dilemma when we started Ribblr. Are we going to make this an app that it's a paid app that you have to pay to use? But you have to download it and pay for it, and then you would use it. But then there's this barrier of we're not going to get as many people because we're not going to be limited by that price. Or are you going to have Ribblr be available for everybody for free? And then you get lots of people, you get more content put in there, you get more people trying it out, because it was a concept that didn't exist. So we couldn't really shout like, hey, come to Ribblr, it's really, really good, we have an interactive pattern that you haven't heard of, and it's like the first time that everybody created it, but still come to Ribblr and like pay for it. No, we had to make it free so people can experience it for like the first time themselves and love it and keep like coming back. So we had this dilemma, but then we thought like we might make like more money if we sell Ribblr, like sell the app, but we want more users because we know that we want Ribblr to be in every crafter's pocket, and we don't want that barrier. But now that we kind of like, as we grew, we thought, okay, we do need to have an income. And as I said before, we still have things that we know we want to give crafters. And well, obviously last year was a bit tricky for us in the crafting world with our partners Joanne going bankrupt, and before they went bankrupt we had materials on the platform that was our main source of income at the time, as well as Ribblr Plus. That basically we thought, okay, Ribblr stays free forever for everybody, but we can get exclusive features or exclusive things that would improve your quality of life as a Ribblr user, but will not take away, like we're never going to take away from the existing experience.
Which is awesome.
And the Joanne bankruptcy was kind of a shock. I can tell you that. But actually the community really took it really well, I think. I mean, everybody was sad. We were sad. We were devastated. But I think everybody kind of like, in terms of like us, and we had ties with Joanne, obviously, because we done cross promo with them. We sold their materials on Ribblr. But it obviously people understood that this affected us a lot, like, and they kind of like we said to everybody, bear with us. We know it's a bit tricky now, but we're confident that things are going to get better. And I guess I was really happy to see how people love and want Ribblr Plus, because I always think, right, do we have enough features? Do we have enough things on Ribblr Plus for people to feel like they want to pay for it? Because this economy is not the easiest that we live in the world. It's not an easy place to be. So people are very conscious on what they spend their money on. I'm happy that it is craft, because it's something that you do for your, well-being, I would say. And I'm happy that they find that it's an expense that they're willing to pay to get those extra features, because it helps improve their crafting journey and helps support us to give them more things, more tools. And we are working on more tools and more things. And hopefully we can announce things pretty soon, but I don't have a date. But yeah, we are always working on that. And the more Ribblr Plus members that we get, the more we can put back into, working on those features and giving more back to the crafters and the community. But yeah, it's been a journey with Joanne collapsing.
Absolutely. And there's so many other platforms out there that have successfully monetized like hatred and outrage and just those kind of things. And it can be really taxing on your just nervous system. And I do feel like on Ribblr, I don't feel taxed. I'm not seeing like there's a time there's definitely a lot of things to talk about and to be spoken about and to acknowledge. But we have created an atmosphere where you're not getting like paid a ton of money to be just a divisive figure. So there's no real incentive to be like a bad person. But those people on Twitter/X are definitely incentivized to be bad. Like it is like that is like where I'm coming from. Like, oh my, like going from that platform to Ribblr is just a stark different world. My gosh.
I sound like such a, I don't know, a detached hippie, but I don't think I ever tweeted.
Well,
I've never could get into it. I'm not like a written word person. Like it's not a format that I want to communicate. If I were on Twitter, the only thing I would do is kind of like quote song lyrics. That's what I did on Facebook. And at some point I've had enough. Like I'm just like, okay, I'll just sing them in my head. I don't need to put them out in the world. People know the lyrics,
Oh my gosh, bring me back to a simpler time. Just like the super vague, like how you're feeling, but with song lyrics, like posts. Or even on like MySpace, you just like put the song as your profile background on what you're feeling that week or whatever.
Yeah, music is very powerful.
It is powerful. It is powerful. And it is for sure. But if I recommend to you or any other audience members, don't go to X. That is not the move.
Yeah, it's hard to be in the world we're living in today and stay positive. It's so it feels like it just wants to bring you down. That for me, I would say I'm not like an extreme person, so I don't say it as like, oh, you need like 100% social media cleanse and don't be on any platform. And that.
Yeah, I
think anything in moderation, like too much of anything can be bad. Even too much, spinach. I don't know, like something that's really good for you. If you get it too much, I think it's not good. So anything in moderation and just stay centered and focused in yourself and your body, and because it's easy to get carried away with what's going on.
I mean, and crafting exists in kind of a interesting space at the moment, just because like it is a really good way to keep you grounded and everything, and it is great for your mental health. So like, I'm glad it has those unseen benefits for sure, because I know it's getting people through it a lot right now, and that's another reason it's great to be on Ribblr is like compared to other platforms, like you're getting the crafts plus everything else on the market. Ribblr is just so, we are a bit more niche. Like we are focused on crochet, knitting, sewing, and Tunisian crochet. So you kind of know what you're going to get when you come into it. And depending on what that's kind of where like the algorithm comes in play, is at least it knows what kind of craft you're into, but it's not trying to it's not really trying to give anything else that's like an undermining, like.
It's a tool, as I said, it's a tool to help you stay focused on what you love to see. I think it's different when you apply it on TikTok, when you're kind of like swiping and getting this brain rot of swiping through content, and Ribblr where it's just curating things that are for you. Because if you never want to get into knitting or garment making and all you want to see is amigurumi patterns, that's what you want to see. So but the algorithm suggests other things at some points, and it checks the interaction, and maybe at some point you would want to check out a Tunisian crochet or a knitting pattern, and then we'll add that to your journey. But it's like a learning thing. It's not like a static, oh, this person is just crochet. We don't ask people when they sign in, what kind of crafts do you do? And then have them mark, oh, I do crochet. And then that's it. They only see crochet. It's more natural learning experience by how a user is browsing Ribblr, what they're adding to their library, what they're buying. So yeah, a fresh user who just joined would see different things than a user that has been on Ribblr for a while and just made some actions and got patterns and experimented with different things.
Yeah, I actually hate that, getting onto a new platform where they're like, oh, what do you like? It's like, you're trying to make me discover myself right now. I'm just trying to sign into this thing and check it out. You're asking too many questions.
I mean, maybe I'm a weird person, but it's it puts it has to put general things in there, and maybe I like other things, I'm I can't define what I like with these things that you're suggesting for me. So yeah, I don't I feel like I'm being put on the spot, what do you like, what do you do, and just let me in. Let me see what you have to offer.
Yeah, too existential to start your new journey on a new app for sure. I always click tattoo, music, and politics is what I click, I think, because it always makes you pick.
How do you love politics?
It's always there. You may as well be passionate about it, I suppose. I mean, that's how I, if you're going to be thrown into salt water, you may as well enjoy salt water.
I hate salt water. I mean, I love the sea, but I hate salt water.
Have you ever swam in the Pacific Ocean?
I dipped because it was cold.
It's so cold, but that's a thing where you just have to
it was summer and it was cold. I'm like, what is this freezing ocean? Why is it so cold?
Yeah, that's our ocean. You just have to throw yourself in it, and when it gets in your eyes and your mouth, it is such a grueling experience. But I imagine if you liked salt water, that experience would be okay.
I like salt water to a degree. I like the sea, I like the beach, I like dipping in, but I would not swim in the sea. You know what I mean? I would swim in a lake. I would just be on the beach and a little bit in the water in the sea, but
I get
not
that.
Swim.
Honestly, swimming in the ocean is pretty terrifying. You don't know if there's a giant tree in the ocean that could just smack you either. That's what I'm always afraid of, or jellyfish too.
And I'm actually a sailor, originally. I'm not scared of, obviously I sailed the sea. But that's a different experience because you're not always in the water. You're most of the time you're on a boat and you have like a life vest and you kind of like experience lots of different things, but it's not like physically swimming all the time in the sea, you know?
Yeah, I'm actually a windsurfer by trade, so like,
really? Oh,
yeah.
So like we're cousins. We always were with like the
kinda.
windsurfers around us.
Yeah, my like two main sports growing up were soccer and windsurfing, and my like AIM MySpace name, my AIM MSN and stuff was Soccer Surfer 375, and that was my email. So that's how I knew myself as a soccer surfer, even though I was kind of a fake surfer. But
cool, good to know. I mean, I was not a big sport person. Sailing was the only thing that I was passionate about that was full body experience, but I was definitely a music person, so anything to do with music.
That's cool. I don't have a single music bone in my body. I tried to make beats in college, as most college kids do. I had a MIDI keyboard and everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was my only experience. And then I was like, you know what? I actually like to just absorb music to be a creator for it. So appreciate people like you putting that out there. I mean, music is sick. I always wanted to write music album reviews, but I kind of never really, I just don't know how to I don't know like all the intricacies. I don't know how to like tell a rhythm or a time signature. So I always felt like I was imposter. But
I don't think you have to. Not all the music, critics that I've seen, but like a lot of critics don't have to kind of like really know how to make this stuff, just to know to analyze it, or not. They don't have to kind of like maybe like a slow drum beat or like kind of like slowing down, getting faster, and then to talk about how it makes them feel more, I would say, because music is about feeling. It's about how did it make me feel. Like sometimes I can't even explain it, but I listen to something and it's so good, it makes me emotional, but it might just be like a song, but something about it made that feeling. So that's, I think, where the critics' job is, to kind of like try and communicate what is it about that song that makes it hit right or wrong or like do nothing. That's where a critic comes in.
I feel like imposter syndrome was such a prevalent thing. Even like when I started crocheting and designing for like the first few years, I felt like such an imposter because I was like, I don't know if it's over there in the UK, but they have over here, like to do anything, like even teach, you have to go through like the Crafty Yarn Council is what it is, and like saying it out loud sounds kind of funny. But do you have that in the UK?
I don't think we have that. I never taught crochet in the UK. I taught music, but you have to get like, when you teach, you have to get like to be checked by the police and stuff like to apply for a certificate that you can like to prove that you're not like a not a very good person or has problematic background and stuff like that, but it's not related to your qualifications. It's more about you as a person. But no, I don't know about anything like that.
Well, I hope everyone on Ribblr, and I think that's also like, part of my closing statements, I think, is, we just kind of went on a tangent, but I do hope that like everyone who comes to Ribblr, and I think a lot of like the imposter stuff originally when it came to designing was no one, like there's like, at least there's like no, people don't really share their secret sauce and how to create like the perfect PDF, how to go about this and that, and how to sell and stuff. I mean, some do, and you kind of have to pay for courses, but that's the really cool thing about Ribblr is like, you're at least doing like 50% of the pattern correctly, because like you have all the tools, you have all the like, the terms, you have like all the things you need to at least have like a layout and a place for it to exist, and the rest comes up to you. But yeah, taking away like the technical side of it, I feel like it's like so wild that a creative has to like figure out all the technical stuff when like that side of their brain is probably like for me, I was like, I don't know all this computer stuff. I just want to like make it, and like just like do the crafting. So it's really cool that
exactly
has those tools.
Yeah, it's taking the barriers. Obviously, there will always be a barrier if you. I look at it as a muscle that you have to train. There's always barriers to everything that we want to do, but as like if we stay in our comfort zone and kind of like not try and get outside of our comfort zone, then we're not going to get anywhere. So it's like that was like it was like that before Ribblr, but it's definitely easier that you have less barriers of entry and you can just kind of like feel more supported through the journey as a designer to get your patterns out there. We've seen lots of people who started out as just regular crafters on Ribblr, and then they kind of like learned a bit more and experienced Ribblr, and then we were like, oh, I can be a designer. It's really simple because you can just like add the lines, and the software is very easy to use. And that's how we converted lots of users from just being a crafter into being a designer, because the barrier of entry is really low. So because it looks the same when you consume a pattern and when you're editing it, the software is very similar. It's all in the same place. So it's not like you have to be kind of like thrown into a different environment to learn that environment, and then the crafter gets a different interface. So it because of the similar interface, it's easier for crafters to then become designers. Yeah,
it's even easy to get people to start crafting, because a lot of like when I was starting, like you would never put a free pattern on Etsy or something, because you got to pay like the listing fee, and
you can't. There's a fee by just having something in there.
So it's really cool. Like even if you're like, that takes away the barrier of people being like, oh, well, I don't know how much to charge for this, and I'm not like that good, but I really want to put something out there. It's really awesome that it's like beneficial for you, and then you meet people in the community, and then there's also a gifting option on Ribblr too, so you can just gift your free pattern to people. Maybe they've never crocheted in their life before, but they're on the platform because they like you, they like the community, and you can. It's kind of like mutual community aid almost. Like you just get to like pass around your creative intelligence without it being like a whole marketing ploy, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's a journey. Like you can start small and you grow to a very, well balanced designer that have like free patterns and testing with the community, and is running giveaways and doing all sorts of things. There's so much that you can do.
Yeah, definitely. And 2026 has a pretty cool roadmap for Ribblr as well. You can come to expect new features and stuff, and some updates as well for quality of life stuff. And if you have been with Ribblr for the past few years, we do have some of our really fun yearly campaigns as well that people have come to know and love. Might be squeezing in a few new ones as well. Depends on how things go. But yeah, 2025 was a very adaptive year, but we've found our footing again. So now we get to just cruise along. So
yeah, it's been a challenge, but as I said before, like you have to be challenged in order to grow. And we have grown, with all the challenges. This past year was really, really good for Ribblr, like in terms of users and signups and people who joined and activity and the things that we've launched. There were like, now we don't think about it, but then when we list them back, when we did the recap post, you kind of like, oh, we've done that and that and that and that and that and that. We're like, yeah, we've done quite a lot of things, even with everything that happened with Joanne and everything that the market has faced because of that. But yeah, it's always incredible that to come out on the other side of a challenge and to kind of like say, I survived that. I'm looking forward to the future and what I'm going to do and what we're going to do. and look back at it and see like just as I had a challenging time there.
Yeah, definitely. And that's just kind of like the risk you run, I guess, when bringing new partners in and having those kind of relationships as well. So it'll be interesting. We're excited to see who else pairs up with Ribblr this year to offer you even more. Like, we worked with Brats as well, and we had our big glow up this year too on top of it all. So feel free to ask anything, and we will see you all around Ribblr, in the community section, on the broadcast, on socials.
You know what? Maybe we can even, if you're seeing this and you have topics that you want us to talk about, like either questions about Ribblr or just like hear our thoughts on things in the craft world or not in the craft world. I mean, we talked about different things. Then leave that in the comments or kind of like share it with us on Ribblr community, and with maybe next time we'll talk about some of your suggestions, I think.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's it for my social battery. So we'll end this broadcast. We'll see all of you for the next Ribblr Talk.